Lee Van Cleef remains one of the most unforgettable faces in Western cinema. Born Clarence Leroy Van Cleef Jr. on January 9, 1925 in Somerville, New Jersey, he came from a modest working-class family of Dutch ancestry. Few people in his early life could have predicted the powerful mark he would leave on film history. His stern features, piercing gaze, and quiet intensity later became trademarks of the Western anti-hero. Yet behind the iconic roles was a man known for strong principles and a blunt sense of honesty. Throughout his career, Van Cleef reportedly clashed with several actors whose personalities or philosophies differed from his own. From Navy veteran to Hollywood villain before Hollywood discovered him, Van Cleef served in the United States Navy during World War II. Stationed aboard a minesweeper in the Pacific, he developed a disciplined demeanor that later shaped his acting style. After the war, he worked various jobs, including accountant and painter, until a role in a local stage production caught the attention of film scouts. His movie debut came in the 1952 classic High Noon. Though he had no dialogue, his sharp cheekbones and cold stare made him unforgettable. Hollywood soon cast him repeatedly as villains, henchmen, and outlaws, roles that fit his striking but unconventional appearance. The accident that nearly ended everything. During the 1950s and early 1960s, Van Cleef appeared in numerous crime dramas and westerns. Films such as Kansas City Confidential, The Big Combo, and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance showcased his ability to command the screen, even with minimal dialogue. However, a devastating car accident in 1958 left him with a severely injured knee. Doctors warned that his acting career might be finished. For several years, he struggled to find work and faced an uncertain future. Few could have imagined that the setback would eventually lead to the defining chapter of his career on the international stage. Sergio Leone and the spaghetti Western revolution. Van Cleef's life changed dramatically when Italian director Sergio Leone cast him in the spaghetti Western masterpiece for a few dollars more in 1965. Starring opposite Clint Eastwood, Van Cleef played Colonel Douglas Mortimer, a refined yet deadly bounty hunter seeking revenge. Audiences were stunned by his charisma and quiet authority. The film's success transformed him from a career character actor into an international star. His partnership with Eastwood continued in the legendary The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where he portrayed the ruthless Angel Eyes. These films cemented his place among the icons of Western cinema. A star of European Westerns. After his breakthrough with Leone, Van Cleef embraced the booming European Western industry. Throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, he starred in films such as The Big Gun Down, Day of Anger, Death Rides a Horse, and Saboteur. These productions helped redefine the Western hero as morally ambiguous, calculating, and often driven by personal vengeance. Van Cleef's calm delivery and controlled intensity became hallmarks of the genre. Unlike many actors who relied on dramatic speeches, he communicated danger through stillness and subtle gestures. Audiences admired his authenticity, seeing in his performances the discipline and resilience shaped by real-life hardship. A complicated relationship with Clint Eastwood. Despite their famous on-screen partnership, rumors circulated that Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood eventually developed a distant relationship. As Eastwood's career skyrocketed in Hollywood, directing films such as High Plains Drifter and Pale Rider, Van Cleef reportedly felt overlooked. Some insiders claimed he believed roles in those films could have suited him perfectly. Stories even suggested he attempted to reconnect professionally with Eastwood's production company, but received little response. Though Van Cleef rarely criticized Eastwood publicly, he once remarked in an interview that Eastwood had gone Hollywood, trading dusty Western sets for studio glamour. Personality clash with Telly Savalas. Another reported conflict involved the charismatic actor Telly Savalas, famous for his role in the television series Kojak. During the 1970s, both actors frequently worked in European action films and occasionally crossed paths in Italy. Their personalities were stark opposites. Savalas was outgoing, flamboyant, and fond of dominating attention on set, while Van Cleef preferred quiet professionalism. According to industry rumors, Savalas once joked about Van Cleef's stone-faced, squinting acting style. The remark reportedly offended the disciplined actor, who valued subtlety and restraint. From that point forward, Van Cleef allegedly declined projects that might pair the two together. Rivalry with Yul Brynner Van Cleef also reportedly held a grudge against Yul Brynner, the commanding star of The Magnificent Seven. Brynner's polished image and theatrical presence contrasted sharply with Van Cleef's gritty, understated style. Their interactions at European film festivals were said to be polite but distant. One widely circulated story claimed Brynner declined a project that would have paired him with Van Cleef, allegedly referring to him as a second-string gunslinger. Whether the comment was exaggerated or not, it reportedly angered Van Cleef. Years later, when asked to name actors he admired, he mentioned figures like Henry Fonda and Charles Bronson, but conspicuously left Brynner off the list. The tension with James Coburn. Another rumoured source of friction was the effortlessly cool James Coburn. Known for his relaxed charm and confident swagger, Coburn became one of the most recognisable faces in action and Western films of the era. Van Cleef reportedly respected discipline and serious craftsmanship, whereas Coburn often appeared casual and spontaneous in his approach. At one point, both actors were considered for the same lead role in a European Western, but the producers ultimately chose Coburn. The decision allegedly irritated Van Cleef, who felt the industry sometimes favoured charisma over dedication. A joking comment from Coburn about Van Cleef's stern expression reportedly deepened the tension. John Wayne and ideological differences. Van Cleef also reportedly disagreed with the legendary Western icon John Wayne. Wayne represented the classic American cowboy hero, bold, patriotic, and morally certain, while Van Cleef embodied the darker anti-hero popularized in European Westerns. Their acting philosophies and political views often differed, creating a subtle divide. Although they rarely worked together, industry insiders suggested Van Cleef disliked what he saw as Wayne's dominance over the traditional Western genre. To Van Cleef, the evolving spaghetti Western movement represented a more realistic and morally complex approach to storytelling. Later career and television roles. In the 1980s, Van Cleef expanded beyond Westerns into action and television roles. He appeared in the cult science fiction film Escape from New York as a stern police commissioner, proving his commanding presence worked outside the Western genre. He also starred in the NBC television series The Master, playing a retired ninja mentor guiding a younger apprentice. Though these projects had mixed commercial success, they demonstrated his willingness to adapt to changing trends. Even decades into his career, Van Cleef retained the same quiet intensity that had made him famous. Personal life and final years behind the scenes. Van Cleef experienced a complex personal life marked by marriages and family responsibilities. His first marriage to Patty Ruth Cale began in 1943 during the war years, and the couple had 3 children together. After their divorce in 1958, he later married Joan Marjorie Drain in 1960. During this period, his international fame grew thanks to the spaghetti Western boom. However, health problems gradually took their toll. Suffering from heart disease and later throat cancer, he nevertheless continued working as long as possible. Conclusion: the legacy of a Western legend. Lee Van Cleef passed away on December 16, 1989 in Oxnard, California, after collapsing from a heart attack at his home. Throat cancer was listed as a contributing cause of death. While stories of rivalries with actors like Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Yul Brynner and James Coburn add intrigue to Hollywood lore, his true legacy lies in his unforgettable performances. Through discipline, resilience, and unmistakable screen presence, he transformed from a silent henchman into one of the most iconic anti-heroes in film history. His piercing stare and quiet authority continue to define the enduring myth of the cinematic gunslinger.